ain't fall. Feel like a dog. Can't find my other boot. Tuesday they done cut my power off. This week, oh Lord. Now I'm only halfway through. I didn't Wednesday, Thursday. Slow but steady by Friday night. Damn, I'm ready for the weekend. I'm hollering like a dog. I'm ready for the weekend. I'm gonna cook me a big old hog.
What's going on, everyone? How's it going? Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Tyler, and I appreciate all of you joining us in here for this week's live show. Again, what is up, everyone? Once again, my name is Tyler, and I'll be doing the show. I'll be doing the audio, video stuff, plus here talking with all of you live. So I appreciate all of you joining us. Again, happy Friday to all of you. We'll get to the chat in just a moment. We see some familiar faces hopping back there on the chat. We want to welcome each and every single one of you into today's broadcast. It feels good to be back here doing these shows. I know I took a little bit of a break due to just how busy I was with everything. So I am happy to be back now. So again, I want to thank each and every single one of you for tuning into today's broadcast. Let me know for 5x5. That means you can see and hear us right off the bat. If you're watching the replay, again, we also let me know where you're watching the replay from. So let me know down in the comments below if you're watching this on replay. That means we ended the live broadcast, of course. But once again, my name is Tyler, and let's go say hey to the folks there in the chat. Again, we have some fantastic people in the chat right now, so let's go ahead and pull that up right now. First in the box was TJ from T&K Travel. It's good to have you in here. We also have Travel with Nick from all the way from Galveston, Texas. Nick, welcome in. Paul Vines and some other folks joining us as well, y'all. So there you go. Once again, thanks for joining us for today's broadcast. Really do appreciate it. And again, if you have not said hey in the chat already, feel free to go ahead and do so. We also have Sherry. She just joined us, so welcome in, Sherry. But this show, we're going to go through some of the biggest stories in the cruise industry right now. We're going to first start, as always, as of course, the goal for this channel is to provide you with the most information that you have for your upcoming cruise or trip to the Space Coast. So we're going to begin first with the Space Coast of Florida. And we're going to begin at Port Canaveral. Of course, that is the port where you see a lot of videos from. Speaking of that, if you have not seen last week's video of the cruise ship parade, where we have some cruise ships sailing, we had the Independence of the Seas, Carnival Liberty, and the Disney Dream. Go ahead, check that video out. I'll definitely know you will enjoy that video. So that is out right now. And again, really good video. People are really seeming to dig the video with the new things, with the new features I added there, with the live radio and all that stuff. So actually, let me know if you enjoyed the video in the live chat on YouTube or in the comments below on that video. So again, this is something new I'm trying with adding the new marine radio. So let me know if people actually do enjoy it. That would be a great feedback, you know, because something new I'm trying. As we're trying to get even better here at the show with ShipSpot and try to provide that extra layer that no one else has, because no one else has live marine radio in their videos. So we're trying to do that going forward. So anyhow, let's go ahead and, as mentioned, go dive right into the news, where we're going to begin at Port Canaveral with the Norwegian Escape, which, of course, if you guys aren't familiar with, the Norwegian Escape was the cruise ship that unfortunately ran aground all the way over there in the Dominican Republic a few weeks ago. It's now successfully got unstuck. However, unfortunately, they're still doing repairs to the ship, and it's taken them a little bit longer than expected. So we're going to hop over to the story right now. So according to Doug Parker from cruiseradio.com, he says another cruise Norwegian Escape sailing has been canceled due to hull damages. Of course, this is as Norwegian Cruise Lines canceled another voyage on board the Norwegian Escape, as repairs to the ships are taking longer than they hoped. The damage comes after the results of the vessel, as mentioned, running aground off the coast of the Dominican Republic earlier this month. And here's in a letter to booked guests on the Norwegian Escape. This is what Norwegian Cruise Line said. They said, "We are so very sorry to inform you that the repairs on board the Norwegian Escape will take longer than originally expected. And as a result, your voyage on board the Norwegian Escape leaving on March 26th, so tomorrow, has been canceled." Now, if guests who were booked on board the now canceled Norwegian Escape has a few options for compensation for this cruise, the following options, which was the first one, right? The first option for guests was to instead move their cruise from the Norwegian Escape to a sister ship on board the company's fleet. Some of those sister ships include the Norwegian Joy, offering 7-night cruises leaving this March 26th, so leaving tomorrow as well, out of the port of Miami. Another option was to take the Norwegian Breakaway for another 7-night cruise, leaving on Sunday, March 27th, 2022, or take the Norwegian Dawn out of the port of Tampa, leaving Sunday, March 22nd, 2022, and also take the Norwegian Encore, once again departing on Sunday out of the port of Miami. Now, again, this is something very, very interesting. The guests who go on those cruises, so if you're still able to go on the cruise, you don't want to just cancel and say, like, you know what, I don't want to go on any ship but the Norwegian Escape, so I'm canceling, getting all my money back. Well, if you decide to go on one of those four ships, I should say, that were listed, Norwegian Cruise Line will not only be giving you that cruise that you paid for, but all your money back in future cruise credits. So you'll still paid for your cruise to go on one of the 4 ships, but you'll get 100% of what you paid in onboard future cruise credit, if that makes any sense. So really good deal right there, that you get your money back from the cruise that you were supposed to take on the Norwegian Escape and future cruise credit, and you still get a cruise out of it. Now, again, if you're a guest and you're not opting to sail on board the Norwegian Escape, well, here's the deal. You're being offered a full refund plus a 50% cruise credit for future cruises. And again, as of this time, those who choose to refund future cruise credit, they will be applied to their Norwegian Cruise Line accounts beginning on April the 4th. So very interesting there with the Norwegian Escape. Again, it's very, very interesting. So again, that is what's up with the Norwegian Escape. As this moment, we don't have any updates of what exactly caused the damage, of course. We believe it was most likely either, weather. We have the weather factor, or it was human error or mechanical. So there's 3 factors. There's weather, human, or mechanical. Again, not exactly sure at this moment. Again, have to wait and see. We'll be interested to see if Norwegian actually does publicly release what happens to this ship, or if that just gets quietly hush released to the public, or if they're going to make a dedicated press release why this grounding happened. Which I'm not. Here's the deal. I personally think that that is not going to happen. That they're not going to make this public. Right? This information will be quietly released to the public. It won't be like, hey, this is what happened. So it will be interesting to see. I'll keep you updated with the story. Again, see what's happening with the escape. I know it's docked there at Port Canaveral, Cruise Terminal 5 as we speak. Again, they're still working with the divers and stuff to fix whatever is wrong with the ship, which we're not exactly sure. We do know it's not that bad of a situation because here's a simple fact. Well, the ship is in Port Canaveral and not a dry dock in Spain, so we know at least the ship isn't in that bad of damage. So, anyhow, we want to say hey to the folks in the chat. While we were doing that story about the Norwegian Escape, a few folks stopped in the hat. We had the chat. Oh my goodness. I tell you, it's been a long week, guys. So, the person who dropped in the chat, we had Say Cruisers. We also had Travel with Nick. He is going to go run some miles. So thank you so much, Nick, for joining us for today's show. We really do appreciate it. Hope you have a great weekend. Plus, Blaine from Really Creative Travel was here. Blaine, good to have you in here, buddy. And again, that is what's up with the Norwegian Escape. And again, if you have any questions about the Norwegian Escape, feel free to go ahead and tag us in chat by @TheTylerShow. This is the best way to tell us if you have a question, right? So most chats usually ask you put hashtag question, and that's a lot of work. So just tag me in chat, say @TheTylerShow, and then put your question, and that's the best way for me to decipher questions from comments. So there you go. Also, Billy just popped in the chat, and again, welcome in, Billy. Good to have you in here, sir. Now we're going to go ahead. Since we covered Port Canaveral, there is good news from Port Canaveral. So if you guys aren't familiar, in this world right now, there is unfortunately the whole European crisis, if you will, with Ukraine and Russia. A lot of news out in the maritime world, but again, I do want to mention this show. We don't get political here on the show, so we're not going to talk about the war in depth. I know it's having major effects on the shipping and the ports and all that stuff, which there's a good video by What's Going On with Shipping. If you want to check it out, he does it about like what's going on with all the shipping and stuff. That doesn't relate to cruise ships, so go ahead and check his channel out. He's covering some good information there. But anyhow, we're going to talk about how this is affecting the cruise industry, actually how this is affecting Port Canaveral. So if you guys aren't familiar, Norwegian Cruise Line only has about a year, 6 month or so time period where they have a ship based here in Port Canaveral. So about partial year, they have a ship based here in Port Canaveral. So only from the winter months. Well, however, due to this unfortunate situation what's going over there with Ukraine, Norwegian Cruise Line had to redeploy one of their ships from the Baltic region to somewhere else, and they chosen the Norwegian Getaway, which was supposed to sail to St. Petersburg, Russia, and other ports, to move over to Port Canaveral for the summer, which is fantastic news. And this will make it so Norwegian Cruise Line will have, for this year at least, a whole entire year-round presence here on the Space Coast. So that is good news to hear. The Norwegian the Norwegian Getaway, which will replace the Norwegian Escape, will begin sailing sometimes around the June time period, and will sail from Port Canaveral, which is just fantastic to see that the Getaway is coming over here to the Space Coast, and it's going to be home ported. Because again, as we speak right now, the Norwegian Getaway does call to Port Canaveral on an almost weekly basis, but that's only for the Bahama cruises does out of New York every single week. So it's good to see that we're going to get the Norwegian Getaway home ported here in Canaveral. That's good for me because here's the deal. Right now, if you haven't noticed, I've not been going to the port as often as I used to go, like around the December time period. And that's due to the simple fact that I've ship spotted and filmed almost every single ship that's been here at Port Canaveral. So that's why you haven't noticed a lot of ship spotting content at the port, because as a matter of fact, there is not enough new ships to film. So hopefully, though, beginning in the May or the summer months or so, we're going to go ahead and film some more ships as we have the Disney Wish coming. Of course, the Wonder of the Seas in November. The Norwegian Getaway. We're also going to be having the Prima. The Prima's coming at the end of the year. And we're also going to be getting none other than this is a fantastic ship we're going to be getting here in Canaveral. We're going to be getting, I'm blown away that Canaveral is getting this ship, the Allure of the Seas, doing Monday and Friday itineraries. Again, when I heard that news, I was mind blown because I knew Canaveral had a crazy amount of need for the 3 and 4 night cruises, but I never thought it was that much need that they were going to home port Allure of the Seas doing 3 and 4 night cruises and still have the Wonder of the Seas doing 7 night itineraries. So that's basically 3 times a week there's going to be an Oasis class ship docked here on the Space Coast, which is absolutely mind boggling because it truly is. So again, just thought to point that out that this year in Port Canaveral is going to be very packed with ships sailing away. So do expect ship spotting vlogs coming out a lot more when we ramp out towards the summer months. Again, as of right now, the ships are typically slowing down. So in Canaveral, in terms of ship spotting, they're starting to leave to go to other ports such as Europe and stuff. So the ship spotting is slowing down. However, when we get closer to the July, August, September time period, that's when they will start ramping back up with more ships coming here, such as the Prima, the Norwegian Prima, of course, but as mentioned, but also the Wonder of the Seas and a whole lot of other ships. So expect that content coming. I do have some big plans coming up, and I can't announce all of them yet. There's a lot of pieces to this puzzle, so I'll go ahead and update you guys with what's going on with this channel in terms of Port Canaveral in a later date. So I'll go ahead and let you know about that on a later date. But we're talking about what's coming up with Port Canaveral and the switcheroo of ships. We had Najuma Brown stop in. Najuma, good to have you in here. Plus, we had Sherry stop in from Sherry Awesome Sunsets Travel. It's good to have both of you in here. Really, really do appreciate it. Yeah, but again, absolute busy week in the cruise world. Speaking of what's going on overseas, of course, we were just talking about the Norwegian getaway. We're going to move over to Carnival Corporation. Carnival Corporation's cruises brands, that includes Princess, Holland America, Aida, it includes Carnival, of course, the classic rail tier. Well, they're all going to be raising prices on board. And here's a quote from the CFO of Carnival Cruise Line. He said, Carnival Corporation, I should say, not confused with Carnival Cruise Line. Carnival Corporation CFO, which is Chief Financial Officer, said that we have been raising prices on board. There is a strong demand, and obviously with the environment being what it is, he's talking about what's going on with the supply chain shortages, what's going on with war, the upcoming fuel pricing. He's talking about all that. Well, he said basically that there has been an opportunity to raise prices, and we've been capturing up on this opportunity. He basically said that this is basically due to what's going on with onboard credits, how there's a lot of onboard credits that they can raise prices because you're basically giving away free money so that they have the right to raise prices. He also said that they saw great growth in terms of revenue on board their ships in Europe and North America, so that waivers them raising the prices as they already are making a decent amount of money. So people are willing to spend money on drink packages, sodas, shops, internet spas, and all that stuff. So they saw that it's a good opportunity because people are paying for these prices the way they are now to go ahead and raise them up a little bit more. And here's another quote from him. He says, increase is in bar and casino, shops, spa, and internet led to the way on board. Over the past 2.5 years, we have offered and our guests have chosen more and more bundled package options. In addition to this, Carnival Cruise Line's President and CEO Arnold Donald noted that there would be no slowdown in onboard spending. As mentioned, people, when they're coming back cruising, they're purchasing even more and more things, which is good for the cruise lines, but it's not good for our consumer wallets because, of course, as we know, a lot of things on board are very, very expensive. Now, Carnival is a little bit more affordable if you're looking for cruising, but things are starting to go up, and it's getting, it's getting harder for us to do more and more vacations as the average traveler. I know a lot of people who've been talking to me, they said prices are going up and up. It's getting more money to do vacations, and I'm going to have to start cutting back on vacations. I have a lot of people telling me about that, and it is for sure. I mean, I'm looking at going to the Cape, not even getting on a cruise ship. I just, looking, midsummer or so. And they went over $1,500 for 4 nights at a hotel. And this hotel isn't like, the Ritz-Carlton. This isn't like, a very lavish hotel. It's just on the water. They want that much money for 4 people in a cabin. So it's absolutely crazy. And again, that doesn't include the resorts fee. It doesn't include any of that. That's just the base price for the room for 4 nights. That doesn't include food and all that stuff. So again, y'all, if I were you, I would go ahead and book your cruises now and lock in on that cheaper prices because the prices are going to go up, and especially if the fuel goes back up in the summer like people are predicting it will, the cruise lines may have to implement a fuel supplement fee where you're going to have to pay for extra fuel with the uptick in barrels like they did back there in 2008. So again, y'all, interesting times we live in right now, and very, very interesting that they are raising prices. That is for sure. So while we were talking about that story about cruise lines raising prices, also let me know down in the live chat what's your opinions on cruise lines raising prices. It's a very interesting subject, right? Because a lot of us don't want prices to go up, but some of us understand why. Like me, I understand why the cruise lines have to raise their prices. There's many reasons. There's, first of all, the reasons that they weren't selling for 2.5 years or so, and they need to make up that money. Another reason why they have to raise prices is the simple fact that, you guys mentioned, the cost of goods and the supply chain is causing prices to go astronomically through the roof, as getting these materials and food and stuff on time for the cruise ships is becoming a problem. I know Carnival, actually, for a fun fact here, supposedly for the Carnival's 50th celebration, they actually, due to the supply chain issues, that they weren't able to bring certain merchandise that they promised on the celebration. So a lot of people who were very upset about the celebration cruises that they weren't delivering to what Carnival promised. Like, Carnival cheaped out because of what's going on with the economy right now. So Again, very interesting. I just read that story earlier this week, and I was thought I would bring it up today because it was very, very interesting of a story of what's going on with Carnival and what's going on with the industry as a whole. They have to raise prices to keep up with this unfortunate time with price raising and all this stuff. So in the meanwhile, we have some comments here in the chat. And again, if you have any comments, go ahead and tag us in chat. That is at the Tyler Show. Again, we'll do our best to answer them here. Again, this is one of the shows we like to do every single week. We like to answer your questions every single show. So again, tag us in chat. We're here almost every single Friday talking about the cruise industry, Port Canaveral, the Space Coast as a whole. So again, this is, if you do enjoy this type of content, of course, that we do invite you to subscribe to the show. We are aiming for 1 million subscribers by the end of 2023. So if we can get there by 2023, well, that would be awesome. So anywho, guys, as mentioned, we have some comments rolling in here. First of all, we have some people who just joined us since the last time we mentioned people who joined us. We had Foreman, aka Kenneth Oakes, is in the house. Good to have you in here, Kenneth. We also have here in the whoa, that was very interesting. But we also have here in the show some other folks joining us that have not put their names in the comment section. So if you've not done so already, put your name in the comment section so we can go ahead and say hey to the folks there in the chat. So speaking of the chat, we have some comments. T and K Travels said, honestly, love Port Canaveral so far. My favorite port also was my favorite cruise so far. Yeah, for sure. Port Canaveral, as mentioned, I think it is the absolute hands down best port, and there's so many reasons why. I guess like the area around the port itself, like even me, if I'm not going on a cruise, I still want to go to Canaveral because the area around itself is so enjoyable. There's a lot of great restaurants, a lot of great shops, a lot of great, places to do. You can go take helicopters. Port Canaveral is just all around a great place, even if you're not going on a cruise. So I totally agree with you there. That is your favorite port because it is for myself. And of course, as you know on this channel, that is one of our big focuses on this channel is Port Canaveral. We also have another comment from TJ from T&K Travelers. He says, honestly, makes sense. He's talking about the supply chain issue. At the end of the day, it's a business, and when the bottom line goes up, prices go up as well. Yeah, absolutely there, TJ. That is for sure. People have to realize that the cruise lines are a business, and they're in it for the profit. So, yeah, they're going to have to raise prices. They're going to have to do business decisions. Even though there may not be great decisions, they're still going to have to make these decisions every single day. And even though they may not be the best decision for the consumer, they're going to be the best to keep these businesses going for 100 years, 50 years, which Carnival just hit 50 years. So shout out to Carnival for hitting 50 years because that is absolutely awesome. Seeing Carnival hit 50 years of fun. And again, absolutely great to see for sure with Carnival and other cruise lines making it these years. I know Royal Caribbean, I think, got 75 years a couple of years ago. So it's just awesome, guys, seeing these cruise lines doing awesome things going forwards after the restart. Speaking of the restart, we're going to shift gears to the happiest cruise lines on the high seas, and that's none other than Disney Cruise Line. Well, Disney Cruise Line has released their summer of 2022 deployment schedule, and this is what's going to be happening with all their ships. So again, with Disney Cruise Line's 5th ship, the Disney Wish, about to be entering service in 2022 this summer, Disney Cruise Line is planning their biggest summer program ever in 2022. Again, this is because of the brand's first new build in over 10 years. The Disney Wish will complement the Disney's the deployment in the Bahamas. And again, this is going to offer, the Disney Wish is going to be offering a series of 3 and 4 nights. And then it's going to shift to about 7-night cruises a little bit later in the year. But as of right now, the Disney Wish will offer a series of 3 and 4 night cruises from to the Bahamas out of Port Canaveral, Florida. So again, cruise industry news, which I get most of my news for here from the show, is they're the best in providing unbiased cruise reporting and all that stuff. I've made a list of where each of these cruise ships will be sailing from and about how many days they will be doing so, and when they will be starting. So let's talk about the Disney Wish, as that is the newest ship in Disney Cruise Line's fleet. Disney Wish will begin cruising out of Port Canaveral beginning on July the 14th. It will do a series of 3 and 4 night cruises to Castaway Cay, Nassau, and back to Port Canaveral, Florida. The Disney Fantasy will remain in Port Canaveral, Florida, sailing year-round cruises, offering 5 to 9 night cruises to the Bahamas, Western Caribbean, and more. So very, very interesting set of cruises all over there with the Disney Fantasy out of Port Canaveral. Now, speaking of the Disney Dream, which currently does the 3 and 4 night cruises, that will be leaving Port Canaveral and be shifting over to the Port of Miami on June the 7th, offering a set of 3 and 5 night cruises to the Caribbean. Again, the Disney Dream will be replacing the Disney Magic, as the Disney Magic does go ahead and move over to Europe, where it will sail from Barcelona, Spain, Italy, Dover, England, and Copenhagen, Denmark. So the Disney Magic will be doing multiple itineraries for multiple different ports, offering a set of 6 to 12 night cruises, sailing to the Mediterranean, Greek islands, Western Europe, Baltic, Iceland, Scandinavia, British Isles, and more. And again, those sailings are from May the 21st all the way to September 11th. And then she'll head back to Florida, or I believe she'll heading over to Galveston this year instead of sailing out of Florida, as the Disney Dream will be replacing her at Miami, almost offering year-round cruises out of Miami, which is really big news for Disney Cruise Line. And lastly, the final ship, one of the older ships in the Disney fleet, the Disney Wonder, will be sailing round-trip cruises out of Vancouver, British Columbia, of course, from May the 16th to September 12th, 2022, as it does cruises to Skagway, Juneau, Tracy Armford, Icy Strait Point, and Ketchikan. Again, we'll be doing 2 different itineraries. So it will be doing, 1 week we'll be going to maybe, say for example, Skagway, Juneau, and then Icy Strait Point, or the other ones may be doing Juneau, Skagway, and then Tracy Arm Forge, and maybe add in Ketchikan, So, they're going to switch it up. That's one of the things that they're going to be doing with Disney, because again, most other cruise lines have 2 ships doing Alaska cruises, so they usually do multiple different itineraries, but with Disney Cruise Line, they only have 1 ship available for that Alaskan cruises, so they're trying to make it as many options to consumers as possible by having the ships do different types of cruises. So there you go. That is the news with Disney Cruise Line with their deployment. Again, it's great to see Disney Cruise Line's deployment. Really good progress being made so far. Can't wait to see what Disney does when they have 6 ships in the fleet, because that means they'll be able to branch out to even more home ports, which is going to be fantastic to see. Again, looking forward to seeing the Disney Wish here in Canaveral. And again, very, very cool that Canaveral is getting a brand new Disney cruise ship after all this time. Let's go ahead and move over to the chat and hear what you guys' opinions are of this Disney Cruise Line news. If you're watching this on the replay, we invite you to go ahead and leave a comment down below. And I'll do my best to get back to you on your comment about what's going on with the news and the channel. So, TJ from TNK Travel says, needs to book a Disney cruise after I get through training with them and get that employee discount. Yeah, for sure. I know I would love to do a Disney cruise one of these days. Their ships look absolutely stunning. Like, words can't describe them. I love the ocean liner look in Canaveral. It's picturesque. One of my favorite ships to take pictures of. And speaking of that, if you do not follow me on Instagram, you can go ahead and follow me. That is at The Cruise Show. On that account is where I do post weekly cruise photos I take from the port. I know recently I've been posting a lot of Independence of the Seas pictures. And the reason behind that is because I took a lot of pictures of the Independence of the Seas. I took a lot of pictures of the Disney Dream as well. However, those pictures are very tricky with posting because they're not exactly the full ship shots. There are a lot of upper decks photos, so I'm trying to figure out a way how to post those on Instagram. And also, the ship of the Disney Wish at cruise terminal number 8 it's the same shot every single week, so I don't want to repost it because the Disney Dream looks like the exact same as the Disney Fantasy. So I already have a photo on my Instagram account of the Disney Fantasy. So I don't want to post another one of the Disney Wish. So, people, not the Disney Wish, the Disney Dream, because it will look very similar. But I am looking forward, though, when the Disney Wish does pull into Cruise Terminal number 8. So I can go ahead and get a beautiful photo of her docked there. So I'll share that with you guys on Instagram and here on this channel. So I know I'm not planning to be there for the arrival because I did that last time with Blaine. I'm sure if Blaine's still in here, of course, him and I remember getting up super early in the morning to see the ship come in, and I vowed to myself that I would never do that again unless I got a hotel over there in Cape Canaveral, because that was too much to drive that early in the morning. So, again, y'all, if you have any questions, tag us in chat as we roll through these stories today. Well, we have the old one showed up. Look at that. But again, if you have any questions, tag us in chat. That is at the Tyler Show, and we'll do our best to answer that on today's show. We also have ALJ's in the house. Ale, good to have you in here. Thank you so much for joining us. We also have James from Travel with Mobile. Good to have you in here, James and Ale. Appreciate both of you joining us for today's show. And if you're just joining us, we're going through the week in cruise news. We're talking about Port Canaveral, what's up with their news, and we're also talking about what's up with this channel. So again, we just talked about Disney Cruise Line. We're going to shift over now to Disney Cruise Line yet again, but not talking about deployment. We're talking about Grand Cayman. Disney Cruise Line officially kicked off the busy cruise season for the Cayman Islands. And again, this is, really almost 2 years or so since the last cruise ship has arrived at the Grand Cayman Islands. So the 1,750 passenger cruise vessel, the Disney Magic, arrived in Georgetown on March 21st before heading over to Castaway Cay, although Disney's private island, all they were there in the Bahamas. Again, this was the first ever ship to come back to the Grand Cayman Islands after the new strategic phased approach to restarting cruising. Again, Grand Cayman was like, no, cruise ships cannot come in. However, they recently changed their mind and said, you know what? Yes, cruise ships can come in. They're pretty safe, so we're going to allow cruise ships to come in. And speaking of that, later in the week, 2 Carnival cruise ship vessels called at the island on the exact same time. The Carnival Paradise and Carnival Sunrise arrived in Grand Cayman on March the 23rd. That was the first time that 2 vessels have ever called in Grand Cayman since the restart of cruises. And then the day after, on the 24th of March, the Carnival Glory and another Carnival cruise ship returned to the port. And here's a quote from Christine Duffy. It says, "We are delighted to return to Grand Cayman and offer our guests an opportunity to experience all the port's beauty once again." And another quote from Christine Duffy says, "On behalf of Carnival, I would like to personally thank all of our partners in the Grand Cayman for working with us to make this opportunity possible." So that is absolutely amazing to hear that Carnival Cruise Line is back sailing to Grand Cayman. Disney also, Celebrity also. So really great to see that Grand Cayman's another port, because I know those cruises that stop the dudes Gulf from like Texas and stuff, they've been pretty like limited with ports they can sail to. So with Grand Cayman back in the mix, that means they can do those cruises where they go from Galveston to Cozumel, Grand Cayman, and Jamaica. Speaking of Jamaica, Jamaica is still one of the strictest ports when it comes to cruising. That you still have to do an organized excursion when you get off all the way over there in Jamaica, which is very unfortunate, but still good to see that those route that they did before COVID is still available to this day with the cruise ships sailing from Galveston. So there's now 2 alternating routes. So that is a big thumbs up from here at the show that the Grand Cayman is back operational. Speaking of Galveston, this week, Royal Caribbean's new cruise terminal at the port of Galveston is making great progress. According to the port's director, Roger Reese, he says that this project will be a game changer for our port and regional economy. He says it is creating over 400 construction jobs, and when it opens, it will create 400 permanent operational jobs, $1.4 billion in local business service revenue, $5.6 million in state and local taxes, as well as new business development opportunities. Now, this terminal did begin construction all the way over there in 2021. When I went to Galveston in 2021, unfortunately, it's located at a point at the port where you can't see it unless you go over to the other side of the channel. And I stayed on the channel, the side of the channel where the ship was on. So, unfortunately, due to the position of this new terminal, and there wasn't that much progress of like building of it, I could not give you guys some updates when I was over there. But hopefully, if we get back to Texas in the next few years, I'll be able to cover that, that terminal and the sailways there. Also, go ahead and subscribe to Travel with Nick. He's going to be covering that so on his channel and his Instagram account. So go follow my good buddy Nick over there again. That is at Travel with Nick. He's covering all Galveston's cruise restart. Another quote from Robert Ress. He says, "We are just 8 months away from celebrating the terminal's opening and the inaugural sailings of Royal Caribbean's Oasis-class ship, the Allure of the Seas, from its new island home." And according to Reese, he also said that this $1.5 million project is in collaboration with Royal Caribbean and the Galveston Wharfs Port Commission. Again, Royal Caribbean is building this 1,061 square foot terminal on 10 anchors of eastern remote area of the port. So again, this is, if you guys are familiar with Galveston, the cruise terminals are like located like right next to downtown Galveston. This new terminal, however, will be located a little bit further down. It's located in like the east area of the port, and basically it's a lot more of the commercial area of the port. So just know about that. It is a little bit closer towards the main Houston shipping channel, and not closer towards the Galveston bridge where you come in on. So just know that. All I know is I am looking forward to seeing this ship at the port of Galveston at this new terminal. Again, this will allow Royal Caribbean to offer cruises on Oasis-class ships out of the port, which, again, this was a big limitation to Galveston. It was Freedom class was the biggest ships who can call at the port of Galveston. Now this port will have state-of-the-art technology, including mobile check-in area, facial recognition for expedited boarding and deboarding of the ship, which is fantastic to see. And again, this will offer a 1,105 square foot parking lot that is pretty new for the port, and will provide them with another revenue source for them to make extra money, which is good to see. Again, this comes as Royal Caribbean, of course, said that the Harmony of the Seas will be calling in the port. Plus, Carnival has also announced that their newest ship, the Carnival Jubilee, will also sail out of Galveston in 2023. So it's very great to see. So, yes, there you go, folks. That is with what's going on with Galveston. Speaking of Galveston, we have some comments in the chat about Galveston. We have Sea Legs Journey joining us. Thank you guys so much for joining us. I appreciate all of you joining us here. We also have Cindy. Cindy, thank you so much for joining us as well. And TJ from TNK Travel says, Galveston is a fun port. We saw some of the construction for Royal Caribbean Terminal back in January. Yeah, for sure. I've been seeing a lot of progress on there. It's just very hard to get a good photo of this new terminal unless you're on a cruise ship or you're at the other side of the channel, which is pretty hard to get to. So, again, I have to wait and see. I hope to get down there very, very soon. And again, TJ also mentions the only bad thing about Galveston's is the fog season, which is absolutely true. I do know one thing that is for sure is that the fog at the port is very, very bad. And a lot of cruises have to wait offshore. They can't come in, and a lot of delayed arrivals and departures because of the fog, which is quite unfortunate. Kind of the same with Tampa. Tampa also has that problem. It's not as bad as Galveston, but Tampa in Florida does have a fog season as well, which is really bad. They can't bring any ships in because if they have any bad weather conditions in the port of Tampa, they don't want the bridge to fall down again. As mentioned, if you're not familiar, the port of Tampa, the bridge fell down a few years ago back in the 1990s due to bad weather, and they could not see where they were navigating. So it's one of the requirements of the Port of Tampa is it has to be pristine viewing conditions for the pilots to keep the ship safe. Same thing applies with Galveston. They cannot navigate ships in the fog as you're really running the threat of running aground, like what's happened with the Ever Forward all the way there in the Chesapeake. Luckily in Chesapeake with the Ever Forward, which is a cargo ship, not a cruise ship, not relating to the show, but I thought bringing it up with that ship is that it's not affecting port operations as it's outside the shipping channel. Speaking of fog delays, TJ also mentions that they had a 10-hour, that's crazy, 10-hour fog delay to get on the Carnival Vista. That absolutely must have sucked as you were delayed from getting on board, versus people who were on board may have been happy if they were driving home because they had some extra time on the ship. So it is unfortunate that y'all had the 10-hour fog delay back there in 2019, all the way over there at the port of Galveston. Galveston's a very interesting port, and again, fog is one of these things that is sadly very common with the port of Galveston that does affect cruise operations there a lot, which is super unfortunate to go ahead and see. But speaking of Royal Caribbean's new terminal, well, we got some news about the first looks at La Lipa, Royal Caribbean's new Perfect Day. And note, this is not a copycat. So, and you may be wondering, what do you mean with that, Tyler? Well, Perfect Day Coco Cay has water slides and stuff. Well, you will not be finding that on Perfect Day at La Lipa. And again, we're trying to load this up on this computer and see what the renderings look like. Okay, well, unfortunately, guys, cannot load the renderings on this screen right now. But however, if you want to go check out the renderings for yourself, Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com does have a great rundown of what's going on with, of course, the beautiful Perfect Day at La Lipa and its renderings, which this looks very similar to Coco Cay, but very far away from Coco Cay. The arrival is pretty similar. It's kind of like the same cove style where you have your Perfect Day sign on the left. And again, it looks very, very cool. Now again, while Perfect Day at Coco Cay does provide thrills, right? Well, Perfect Day at La Lipa is Royal Caribbean's different vision of the island. It's going to be more of a relaxing. So, you know, Perfect Day has a thrill, like thrills on this side, and you got your chill on the other side. While with Perfect Day La Lipa, it will mostly be just chill and one with nature. That is one of the themes with Perfect Day at La Lipa. And again, here's a quote from Michael Bailey about Perfect Day La Lipa. He says that we believe that this destination should be sustainably designed, and that goes beyond simply protecting the ecological features of La Lipa. But that also includes showcasing respect for the people and traditions that make La Lipa a very, very special place. So some of the renders do show that this port will have some big huts. So some big, really big, round, oval-shaped huts. Well, they'll have some, I believe, dining or something like that. The big dining halls, they do have some of those. It also looks like there'll be some of those tribal poles where they'll do one of those shows where they swing around the pole. It's very, if you go to Mexico, you go to Cozumel, for example, they have one of those poles where the Native Americans have a show where they strap themselves with ropes around the poles and they do some musical instruments things. Looks like they're going to have that at the centerpiece of the island. So that does look very, very interesting. Now, again, as of right now, we're scrolling through this article. We are not exactly 110% sure if this port will have a pier or if it will be a tender port. As of right now, we're not exactly sure. Because the renders show that it will have a wooden pier, which looks like it could be a tender port. And again, this is very interesting because one thing about La Lipa is they have to have a pier for an Oasis-class ship. So again, La Lipa was one of the big strategies, I think, that Royal Caribbean decided not to put Wonder of the Seas in China. And that was because they wanted to have La Lipa on some of the stops, and they couldn't have La Lipa because, of course, they had to cancel that project because of COVID. So I think that after they learned that they had to cancel La Lipa, that it ultimately changed their decision of home porting Wonder in the Asian region because they can't have that big of a ship tender because it's impossible, because getting that many people onto a cruise ship is I should say off of a cruise ship and back on in a quick amount of time is next to impossible with those little boats. Because again, an Oasis class ship can carry 6,000 people plus. That's not including crew. So again, an Oasis class ship really needs a pier. So again, if Royal Caribbean does keep Ovation and Quantrum on the west coast of the U.S. and in the Pacific region, I definitely could go ahead and see them using Lalipa as a tender port, because both of those ships do have tenders, and they're quite well at tendering, as a lot of the Australian ports are require tendering to get to. So again, y'all, very interesting what's going on with Perfect Day Lalipa. That was the first official comments and renders we have seen of this island. It does look very, very interesting, that is for sure. And one of these days, I definitely want to do an Australian cruise down the road. Let me know down in the comments below or the live chat right over there if you want to go ahead and do an Australian cruise. I know it's definitely on my bucket list because they look absolutely, absolutely amazing with the water. The water there is absolutely stunning. So definitely one of these days when the travel restrictions get lightened and all that stuff, want to get down there to Australia and go ahead and enjoy the beautiful, beautiful water and area. So that's definitely on my bucket list. So yeah, once again, y'all, a lot of things going on with Royal Caribbean this week, with the Wonder of the Seas, of course, still successfully sailing cruises out of Fort Lauderdale. Again, she has a few more weeks, and then she'll be shifting over to doing cruises out of the Mediterranean, and then she'll be home porting back here in Port Canaveral in the winter. So Wonder of the Seas, things are still going good with Wonder, so that is good to report when it relates to the Wonder of the Seas. I know Sea Legs Journey, speaking of Australia, again, we talked about how Lalipa and also just Australian cruises in general is restarting. They say that they want to do a cruise and maybe in Australia in 2024. I know that's kind of like the time period I'm looking for, 2024, 2025, and 25 is 6 or so. The problem with Australia for me, because I'm on the east coast of the United States, is I have to take almost a 24-hour plane flight there. So that's a lot of money. So hopefully one day when we get that 1 million subscribers by 2024, we'll be able to do one of these Australian cruises. And who knows? Maybe with a subscriber. That would be, how about that? That would be pretty epic. That is for sure. Now, again, folks, if you are just joining us and you are new to the show, please consider giving us a like, subscribing, dinging the bell so you're notified every time we do one of these shows each and every single week. But now, let's figure out who brought us today's show. This live stream was made possible due to the supporters on Patreon. Patreon.com is a way to exchange of extra benefits, including rare behind-the-scenes photos, Discord VIP lounge benefits, and much, much more. Again, you can become a Patreon supporter for as little as $1.99 per month. Again, go to patreon.com/The Tyler Show to learn more about becoming a Patreon member. Once again, patreon.com/The Tyler Show is the place where you can support trips to the Space Coast and support us. Again, we're shifting our content to focus more on the Space Coast, and hopefully in the future we're going to get some crazy plans when it involves renting helicopters, because of course getting that drone footage at the port is very, very tricky. So in the future we're going to have some big plans this year. I can't wait to share them a little bit later, because it's just going to be awesome coming up with the following plans for this year. So many amazing ships, like as mentioned, the Disney Wish, Wonder of the Seas. We have the Mardi Gras now. I mean, I'm just absolutely looking forward to filming more content from the Space Coast, and we have some major plans in the works. So stay tuned for that. Again, we'll get to those later plans at a later date. But we had our good friend Emma from Emma Cruises. Emma, good to have you in here. It's so good to see you here. If you guys aren't familiar, we had Emma on our show a while back. And that was, again, when I was just getting started with the whole live show thing. And it was very technically ridden. We had a lot of technical mishaps, the internet and all that good stuff. So, again, Emma, good to have you in here. Thank you so much for joining us. Really, really do appreciate it. And also, we have Sea Legs Journeys. They says we should do a group cruise in the future. Yeah, for sure. That is one of the plans when the restrictions lift, because I know doing a group cruise nowadays, you know, there's a lot of like restrictions when it comes to all this stuff, you know. Hopefully in the future, we're going to be able to do a group cruise. And again, the group cruise are going to be epic. Here's the deal. When I do a group cruise, we're going to do something that's never been done on the face of YouTube before. And I'm going to explain. I have some big plans for this group cruise. Can't comment on it yet. Again, waiting for the restrictions to dial down so we can get as many people in the group as possible, because I know there's sometimes limiting like numbers of people on board. I know the cruise line is starting to lift those restrictions, so they're not like capacity and venues and all this stuff, but I want to definitely make sure that they don't revert back to it before I book a group cruise or do a group cruise, because I want the best experience possible for the first group cruise. It's going to be epic. I'm planning to do it with a few channels, so again, don't want to comment on it, but that much. But it's going to be pretty epic when it does happen in the near future. Speaking of channels, one of our partner channels and our moderators, Nathan from Best of Boat Worlds is here. Nathan, so good to have you in here. Of course, he lives up all over there in the Chesapeake Bay area, which is, of course, where the Ever Forward, that container ship, ran aground. He actually showed me a very cool photo of the Carnival Legend sailing past her during sunset. It was very, very cool photo. So, Nathan, once again, good to have you in here for this week's show. Speaking of Carnival Legend, one of the sister ships to Carnival Cruise Line, Carnival Sensation, well, that ship was unfortunately sold for scrap. And Carnival Cruise Line's 5th cruise ship to be ever sold for scrap in the past few years has unfortunately went over to the scrapyard. So it has unfortunately made that sad transatlantic crossing from Florida all the way over to the Atlantic scrapyard in Algarve in Turkey. Again, very hard to pronounce that one, but again, this was first reported in February of 2022 that 2 ships have been sold for scrap, the Carnival Sensation and the Carnival Ecstasy. Of course, Ecstasy is still doing cruises out of Florida, right? So it's still doing cruises out of not Florida, excuse me, Mobile. The Elation, the sister ship, I get those confused a lot. The Elation and the Ecstasy. Elation is doing cruises out of Port Canaveral and will be shifting to Jacksonville to replace the Elation, replace the Ecstasy, I should say, because the Ecstasy was originally supposed to sail from Jacksonville, but unfortunately those had to get canceled due to the ship being sold for scrap. And the Ecstasy right now is selling out of Mobile, Alabama, and that's not going so good. So I know Travel Mobile is in here, and he knows hand in hand how what's the situation with the Carnival Ecstasy. It's not going good for Carnival. The ship has been having a lot of problems, a lot of delayed arrivals, a lot of delayed departures from Cozumel and stuff. So it is very unfortunate. So it probably is the reason why they're selling the Carnival Ecstasy for scrap. It's a very tragic situation, really, what's going on with the Carnival Ecstasy. That these ships are being sold for scrap. We actually saw the Ecstasy a while back in 2021 in Port Canaveral, and I have some of the final footage of it in the port, and it's very sad to see, but at the same time, I get why they're selling these classes of ships, because when I was in Port Canaveral filming these ships, there was a lot of rush on these ships, and it's very unfortunate the way Carnival is not keeping up with all these ships. So when the Carnival Sensation and Carnival Ecstasy are scrapped later this year, unfortunately, that will make it so Carnival Cruise Line only has 2 fantasy class ships left in service. That is the Carnival Paradise. I think that's the only one. I'm not sure. I think it's the Carnival Paradise and the Carnival Elation. So Carnival Elation and Carnival Paradise, those are the only 2 fantasy class ships left in operation out of the 8. And of course, the Paradise isn't going anywhere anytime soon, as Carnival dumped a lot of money into its new livery. But the Elation, if Carnival wants to lose Jacksonville as a home port, it could be sold off. And again, a very, very unfortunate situation what's going on with them selling off the Carnival, Elation, the Carnival Ecstasy and the Carnival Sensation. Both really, really beautiful ships from their time period. And it's very unfortunate that Carnival is selling off these ships. Again, I get why they're doing it. Again, they have to get for those bigger ships that have more people on board. The more people on board, again, as we talked about in the beginning of the show, cruise lines are trying to raise their onboard revenue up. So with more bigger ships, with more activities and more upcharge venues, that means the more money the cruise lines can create. And plus, the bigger and the newer ships operate as a less, a break-even point. The break-even point is a way closer than it is with the older ships. The older ships, the break-even point is very far away. The cruise lines lose a lot more money on sailings if people don't pay for upcharge food and stuff compared to those bigger ships where the cost is a little bit lower to operate compared to the older ships. If that makes any sense. So again, very, very unfortunate of a situation right there with the Carnival Sensation and Carnival Ecstasy. Ecstasy's final cruise will be later this summer. And again, it is truly unfortunate that both of these ships will be scrapped. We were hoping that one of these ships would, be used as like a hotel. Now, Ecstasy could still be used as a hotel or something of that nature, as they have not been officially announced that it was sold for scrap. It was announced it was sold, but it didn't say who for the Ecstasy. However, the Carnival Sensation was officially announced that it was sold for scrap, which is it's very unfortunate. And of course, as Travelmobile just mentioned, yes, Ecstasy has lots of issues. It's you kind of see why it's sold for scrap or sold out of Carnival's hands, but it's very unfortunate nonetheless. And Nathan here says something very interesting here, boys and girls. He says, trying to get a cargo ship unstuck is very, very hard, but subscribing to the Tyler Show isn't. Can't forget about the like button also. Very true, Nathan. Very, very true. Thank you, sir, so much for that shameless plug. Really do appreciate it. And speaking of that, y'all, check out our partner channels. That's Nathan. We also have Brandon Barker. And, of course, Nick from Travel with Nick. All of our partner channels here on the show. Okay, and we have some update here from our resident Carnival Ecstasy Mobile expert, James from Travel Mobile. He says water was shut off for a few hours on the past cruise. Yeah, that's crazy. Again, that goes back to what I'm saying, that what's going on with the Ecstasy right now is pretty kind of like, okay, now I get why these ships are leaving Carnival, because these ships are not in good condition. I know the Elation and the Paradise are in better condition than the Ecstasy right now. But yeah, it's unfortunate that what's going on with the Ecstasy. Of course, they had a problem with lifeboats on one of those first cruises that delayed them sailing away from Cozumel. So yeah, it's just a very unfortunate situation. What's going on with the Carnival Ecstasy? And again, who knows what its life beyond Carnival is. It could be going to the scrapyard. However, I did read a story from someone that I think it was Miami Herald or something, about them possibly making one of the cruise ships home ported to Miami as like a floating hotel or something. Again, haven't heard much on that, so it'll be very interesting to see nonetheless. So again, y'all, we're going to start spooling down our stream. I want to thank each and every single one of you for joining us for this hour of Cruise Chat. We're going to try to do this as often as possible every single Friday. It was absolutely great talking with you. Big thank you to Travelmobile, Best of Boat Worlds, Sea Legs Journeys, Emma Cruises, T&K Travels, ALJ, Najuma, Cindy, Billy J, Fordman, Say Cruisers, Blaine from Relay Creative Travel, Sherry from Awesome Sunsets Travel, all of you for joining us the today's show. If you're watching this show on the replay, I also really do appreciate it. Again, we're trying to get monetized. The watch hours have been a very tricky situation right now. They've been going up and down. So again, I appreciate all of you giving us the watch hours if you have not done so yet already. Again, subscribe to the show. Subscribe because we're going to have some big plans revolving Port Canaveral and also guests coming on this show in the near future. So once again, thank you so much for watching us. And again, I'll be right back here, hopefully as soon as next weekend. So until then, everyone, once again, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you real soon. Take it easy, everyone.